Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thank you as always for stopping by. I'm always grateful. I like this photograph from the AFP. Heathrow au petit matin, pic by Leah Lovius. And it wasn't too long ago that we were landing at Heathrow. Don DeLillo, we're all one beat away from becoming elevator music. I'll leave you to think about that. And I like this photograph of Nairobi at sunset. It looks very attractive. I can't work out with a lot of its pollution, which is giving this colour that you get at sunrise and sunset. Twilight bathes the sanctuary of Athena Pronaia at Delphi. Pilgrims in ancient Greece may have offered sacrifices here before consulting the oracle of Delphi. Can't remember who consulted it in Greek mythology, but the oracle was consulted a great deal. I've been rereading some Hanif Qureshi, and if you haven't read him, he's of a particular time, and I was reading the Black Album. It really made me chuckle, I must say. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and I tweeted him zigzagging across London. Feels like an old and lost age of innocence, to be honest, but tweeted him and got some response. That was good. At the deepest level, people are madder than they want you to believe. You will find that they fear being eaten and are alarmed by their desire to devour others. Political reflections. I like this photograph of President Obama. Some of the more excitable comment, and I'd put myself in that category, has been repelled in the Gambia. Muhammad Buhari tweeted, "The mediation continues. After our meeting with President Jammeh, we met with President-elect Adama Barrow." So let's see how that goes. I think what happened there, Barrow was very quick to talk about prosecuting Jammeh, and he thought he was in a more powerful position, notwithstanding the fact he lost the election, than he would be, let's say, 6 months, 12 months down the road. The World Post stunning photos show what Aleppo looked like before the war. Patrick Coburn, if Assad takes eastern Aleppo, he thinks he will have won the war. Syrian armed forces are close to capturing the remaining rebel-held districts in the enclave of East Aleppo, bringing them their biggest victory in 5 years of war. The insurgent armed forces that were originally estimated to number between 8,000 and 10,000 fighters have been retreating or still giving up more readily than had been expected. It is still possible that a hardcore will hold out in the ruins, but President Assad will be eager to crush any remaining resistance so he can present the fall of East Aleppo as a decisive turning point in the conflict. Will this be true? There are so many players with such diverse agendas in the Syrian civil war, but past turning points have turned out to be no such thing. But what is truly important about what we have just seen in Aleppo is that the outside allies of the armed opposition to Assad, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and in a somewhat different category, the US, have not come to the rescue of the rebels whom they have previously supported. In reality, Assad was always likely to stay in power because the upper ranks of his regime were united. He had a powerful army, but above all because Russia and Iran were always more committed to his survival than Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the US were to regime change. Many Syrians have always said that the struggle for Aleppo would decide the war. They may well be right. It is, in my opinion, a fait accompli. Vladimir Putin's intervention was the decisive one and started at the UN General Assembly in October 2015, when you will recall he said, "I cannot help asking those who have caused the situation, do you realize now what you've done?" Within 24 hours of delivering that speech, Russia instructed that the US should vacate Syrian airspace. This message was not delivered to Ashton Carter by his Russian counterpart Shoigu. It was delivered to the US Embassy in Baghdad. You could hear the squealing start immediately from Ankara to Riyadh, from the GCC to Washington. All these capitals have assets on the ground in Syria, and what is clear is that Russia is not making a distinction between IS or the moderate opposition fighting Assad. Lavrov said, if it looks like a terrorist, if it acts like a terrorist, if it walks like a terrorist, if it fights like a terrorist, it's a terrorist, right? I was saying at that point, Putin fancies himself the flycatcher in Syria, the fly trap. The speed of execution confirms that Russia is once again a geopolitical player that will have to be considered, and I said it is a breathtaking rebound. Put up a photograph of the main players, Vladimir Putin, Sergei Lavrov, and Sergei Shoigu, discussing Syria. Another photograph RT is saying the military operation in eastern Aleppo is over, government restoring control. Take you to my recent piece, which was the Parabolic rebound of Vladimir Putin. US is now to halt some arms sales to Saudi, citing civilian deaths in the Yemen campaign. It's not a matter of how smart or dumb the bombs are. It's that they're not picking the right targets. The case in point is the one on the funeral. It's been deliberate. China says damage to One China principle threatens peace. China's Taiwan Affairs Office said on Wednesday any interference with or damage to the One China principle would have a serious impact on peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait. Elect President Trump said on Sunday the United States did not necessarily have to stick to its long-standing position that Taiwan is part of One China, further upsetting China, which is already angered by Trump's earlier telephone call with Taiwan's president. On the 14th of November, the piece I wrote, which was Here Comes Trump, I said, as Trump has indicated, China is the main adversary. And it was difficult for me to understand why the US was seeking to send Vladimir into Xi's ready embrace. That I was saying then that to triangulate China, the US needs Russia on its side and not on China's. The US is ready to confront Beijing on the South China Sea, says an admiral. The United States has called on China to respect the findings of the arbitration court in The Hague earlier this year, which invalidated its vast territorial claims in the strategic waterway. Beijing continues to act in an aggressive manner to which the United States stands ready to respond, Admiral Harris. We will not allow a shared domain to be closed down unilaterally, no matter how many bases are built on artificial features in the South China Sea. We will cooperate when we can, but we will be ready to confront when we must. A much harder line being taken by President-elect Trump. Friends forever, China wary of Rex Tillerson wooing away Russia. International markets, a Fed rate hike is fully priced in. The Dow is flirting with 20,000, but not there yet. Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan are the best performers since the November the 8th vote, with gains exceeding 20%, accounting for roughly 1/3 of the 1,578-point increase in the 120-year-old gauge. Let's move on to the currency markets. Euro dollar 106.21, dollar index 100.85, dollar yen 115.09, Swissy 1.0113, pound 126.54, Aussie 0.7497, India rupee 67.525, South Korean won 1168.55, the rial 333.53, Egyptian pound has slumped to fresh low for 2016, 18.5475, and the South African rand firming up a bit, 13.6417. Dollar index, I'll put up a 3-month chart. We're at 100.85. My target for next year is 110. Euro dollar, I'll put up a 3-month chart of that. Last trading 106.20. watching two things: a triple bottom just above 105, but an overall bearish view on the euro. Trump's deal capitalism in one chart. Exxon has its best 7 days in 14 months on Tillerson News. Commodity markets. Gold was last trading at 1161.19, down in my view. Crude oil, I've just put up a 5-day chart. You can see we've got that second leg higher on the OPEC, non-OPEC deal. Let's see how long it's going to last, not very long from here. Venezuela's stock surge. You look at this, it's all a currency play, in point of fact. Sub-Saharan Africa in pic posted by Nigeria's President Buhari note that Yahya Jammeh is the only one to smile. Crucial time for Gambia indeed. LSE for business, the commodity price rout and Africa's unusual electoral cycle. The ongoing electoral cycle in sub-Saharan Africa is turning out to be somewhat unusual. In the Nigeria March 2015 poll, the People's Democratic Party suffered its first loss since the end of military rule in 1999. While in South Africa's August 2016 municipal election, the ruling ANC registered its worst performance since the end of apartheid in 1994. Elsewhere, attempts to prolong the incumbent's reign in Burkina Faso were forestalled by an eruption of protests in October 2014, bringing to an end Blaise Compaore's 27-year rule. It would seem elections in the region are at a tipping point. The traditional incumbent re-election bias is at a historic low, and the ground is fast shifting beneath the feet of the political establishment. What has triggered the turn of the tide? This is an interesting point. Consider, for instance, that whereas between 2000 and 2015, East Asia and Latin America reduced the working poverty population, the share of workers living in households with consumption of less than $2 per person per day, according to the International Labour Organization, by 86.7% and 50% respectively, Sub-Saharan Africa has lagged behind its peers, reducing its own by a measly 0.6%. Labour productivity, for instance, has been on a near flat line over the last decade, growing by 35.2% between 2000 and 2015 against East Asia's 194.7%. The sad narrative in this trend is that even at the best of times, Sub-Saharan Africa has been plagued by comparatively muted growth in labour productivity, creating a potential drag on long-term growth prospects. The short-term imperative for Sub-Saharan Africa is to ensure transition, where it happens, takes place in an environment of managed expectations. Pretty interesting. You have lost the election, President Jammeh, and you must give up power peacefully, Ambassador Power said. So proof of whether this is going to happen. Everyone is singing from the same sheet of music, and the song is clear. You have lost the election, President Jammeh. You must give up power gracefully. President Buhari was in the Gambia with other ECOWAS leaders to insist on the sanctity of the electoral process and respect for the wishes of the people. Let's see how it turns out. My piece over the weekend was after the Arab Spring. This is the Black Spring. South African all-share up 0.29% this year. Dollar versus Rand, 13.6417 Rand in top of the range. Egyptian pound, new lows for this year, 18.5475. Nigerian all-share down 8.98% this year. In my article, I was saying recent elections, from President Buhari of Nigeria through President-elect Barrow in the Gambia through President-elect Akufo-Addo of Ghana, surely signaling a trend to change is at hand. Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index is down 20.66% year to date. Soros-backed Leapfrog raising $800 million for its latest fund as the private equity firm seeks stakes in African banks, insurance brokers, and payment companies to tap into rising demand among low-income consumers. CCTV News says that the President Kenyatta confirmed 11 of his guards were among 39 killed in Saturday's tanker accident. USAID initiative empowers youth through vocational training. Have a look at this video. Saturday nightfall at the beach, photo by Pet Kakona, like this photograph. Kenya shilling at 102.15. Nairobi all-share closed at a fresh 12-week low. It's down 9.49% this year. The NSE 20 is down 21.91% this year, and at a 14-month closing low. We were so busy looking at the baboons and monkeys and adversary, we missed the elephant. Nice photograph. Treasury lines up a shilling 500 million support line for a Chumi bailout rescue package. Government owns 14.67% in the loss-making Uchumi, second biggest shareholder behind Tier 3 lender Jammeh, which controls 14.9%. The Nairobi bourse-listed retailer survived a winding-up suit and is currently battling headwinds such as frequent stockouts, shillings 3.6 billion in supplier dues, and debts to lenders amounting to 2.5 billion as at the half year to December 2015. Treasury Secretary Henry Rotich termed the 500 million shilling bailout package as equity participation, which however does not explain whether it will be in the form of a rights issue or a shareholder loan. Put up a link for Uchumi in case you want to check into it. Botswana's Choppies saying that 7 of the Ukwala outlets that they bought are insolvent. As I said, the Nairobi all-share closed lower yesterday. TPS Arena finally got some upside traction, rallied 6.49%. Nation Media fell 1.12% to a fresh 5-year low, bouncing off that level. Standard Media fell 8.83%. The media sector has been savaged, even more than the banks. Co-op was up strongly, 1.872% yesterday. Housing finance is caught up in a court battle with the former director Kevin Isika, who's suing for wrongful termination. But listen to what he said. The bank has been reporting a non-performing loans figure of 5 billion shillings. However, the real position is that non-performing loans are 9.3 billion, almost double the published amounts. This information was notified to the managing director and the group managing director via several emails starting from December 2015. The bank is rigorously contesting this. HFC eased 2.713% to close at 12.55. The Insurance Regulatory Authority of Kenya published its Q3 2016 industry report, and it was quite interesting actually. Insurers reported a 47.7% increase in profit after tax in the 9 months to September. Mumias Sugar's AGM apparently turned chaotic. Shareholders demanded the removal of the entire board, and clearly this was not an unreasonable request. Mumia Sugar closed 3.85% higher at 1.35. I shall leave it at that and wish you a continued good week, and hope you've made your Christmas preparations. Everywhere I turn, I'm hearing carols, and well, it puts you in the mood of the Yuletide spirit. So, happy Yuletide.